Welcome to yet another edition of Hashtag. My name is Daniel Mumbere, and social media this week was quite interesting. There were some heated conversations about South Sudan, the UPDF deployment there, and other national interests. But here on Hashtag, we will be discussing a slightly different kind of national interest, which we have titled the 30 Under 30 of Uganda. The background to this discussion is the recently released Forbes list describing the 30 Under 30 global influencers, and out of 450 people profiled, none was Ugandan. But today on the show we have some people who I believe would be contenders if we were to ever have a 30 Under 30 for Uganda. I will be joined by have Peter Muchibi, who is the MD and co-founder of Admire. He's also the outstanding young achiever for the year 2013. Welcome to the show, Peter.
Thank you, Daniel.
How are you?
I'm great.
It's good to have you on the show.
Well, my first time on TV, but let's see how it goes.
Wow. that's quite interesting. Also, we'll be joined on Skype by Ian Ortega. He's described as the 21-year-old CEO and founder of bigeye.ug. I'm sure you visited that site online. Welcome to the show, Ian.
I'm glad to be here. My first interview since when I was a kid. Maybe a little bit of correction. I'm just a co-founder of bigeye.ug. I'm not the only founder.
Okay. Wow, thank you very much for that correction. It looks like we will be talking about teams and their role in the entrepreneurial journey of young people, but we'll get into that discussion later on. We usually start the show by looking at those conversations that became huge trends on social media, and there was one quite interesting one, which was hashtag African Nations in High School. It was a huge one on Twitter. It was quite interesting, humorous as people describe different countries, and I'd like to put both of you on the spot here. If you were to participate in that conversation, which country would you pick, and what kind of kid would they be in high school?
Well, I think I will pick my own country, Uganda. And I think Uganda would be that kid in class that looks like they are deep thinking or deeply thinking about a certain subject that the teacher is teaching. However, they would be thinking about something totally different, maybe business or whatever they are going to do. So, yeah, I think that's what the Ugandan kid would be like.
I knew the bat was coming. Ian, what kind of kid would you describe for any African nation?
I think I won't differ much. I'll pick Uganda still. I think Uganda will be the kind of country that you will be this kind of student that goes on poking their noses in other people's affairs.
Be careful, Ian, be very careful. But the conversation is still going on Twitter. It's under the hashtag African Nations in High School. If you've not yet participated, you can look for that hashtag and participate. But let's now take a look at the other conversation that became huge trends on Facebook and Twitter in viral load. Social media this week. Let's get started with a drama called Facebook. Hashtag Let Bitama Rest. Fallen comedian Pade Bitama continued to make headlines in traditional media and fuel conversations on social media as the families fighting over his parentage treated Ugandans to drama, perhaps their way of dealing with the long wait for DNA results. Now that the DNA results are out and Bitama will now be laid to rest, perhaps this story will no longer make appearances on your timelines. While that was going on, there was a quiet storm building up on Facebook as celebrated media mogul Nada Anderson lashed out at expatriates that come into Uganda and Africa with biased attitudes towards the people they have purportedly come to help. Nada raised concern about a post referring to puppies as internally displaced puppies or IDPs, which she believed was in bad taste to the people of Uganda. The expatriate who had posted the status didn't see her point, and the stage was set for an epic battle. Posts in support and against followed. Likes and shares to mobilize support also came in. For Nada, it's an opportunity for a mindset shift, but for hashtag, it's another demonstration of how much social media has infiltrated our lives. And then the world beaters. They came, they saw, they conquered. And now everyone wants to be seen with them, to be related to them, and to be them. Stacey Amito and Lupita Nyong'o have won themselves admirers world over since their world-beating feats that saw them scale the heights of international stardom in modeling and acting respectively. Lupita's continued fashion statements at red carpet events were the highlight at the recent Golden Globe Awards, where her photo moment with Oprah Winfrey made bigger news on social media than the award won by the film she starred in, 12 years a slave. For Stacey Amito, everyone in Uganda has played a part in her success, and of course we all knew she would win the inaugural Africa's Next Top Model. So, we have a right to brag, associate, and even demand that she makes an appearance on our radios, TVs, and homes. The effect of their fame on their Facebook and Twitter accounts will leave that for you to find out yourself. Over now to the Lugezigezi on Twitter. UPDF's deployment in South Sudan was perhaps the biggest conversation on Twitter in Uganda this week, with hashtags UPDF South Sudan, UPDF deployment, and hashtag South Sudan used even as Parliament continued to ask questions regarding the deployment and mandate of the Ugandan army in the conflict-laden South Sudan. Soccer was another big conversation on social media, with Cristiano Ronaldo the biggest winner at the annual Ballon d'Or contest, where he was named the greatest footballer for the year 2013. Uganda Crane's exploits in the ongoing CHAN competition dominated timelines on the two occasions Team Uganda was on the pitch, with a win against Burkina Faso and a goalless draw against Zimbabwe. Perhaps the two most hilarious hashtags of the week were hashtag replace movie title with forehead and hashtag African nations in high school, with an international broadcaster describing the latter as a Twitter class in African politics. Care to take the class? And look out for the latest Immaculate Conception. A nun who gave birth to a baby boy in the central Italian city of Rieti has denied knowledge of her pregnancy. The young mother, who is originally from El Salvador, reportedly named her newborn Francis after the current Pope. We can totally see this story going viral on social media. It is now time for Viral Load Comments, where we came and asked you whether you think the youth of Uganda have what it takes to create wealth and transform societies in Uganda, and this is what you had to say.
They want to get rich very fast.
Most youth are talented. But we artists are talented, as in you can find a first-year student, but the kind of work he does is far much better than a third-year student.
Somebody might complete university and he has no skills to do something, and they call him that he's an engineer, but when you give him a machine to start it, when he cannot afford to start the machine.
There are a lot of things which are irrelevant in our curriculum, for example, at the secondary, even at the tertiary institutions. So creating those reforms, improving on the monitoring supervision, fighting corruption, like those situations in Chambogo and other institutions.
They can start things like bricklaying, so that, you know, most of the youth look at these things as being as dirty work, dirty jobs. So they prefer white-collar jobs, which are not in Uganda nowadays.
Most of our inspirations are from the lecturers, some other guys. There are some other lecturers out there that are pretty good.
We have some young lecturers at our department. Some of them are below 30, but they achieved things because of their innovations.
There's some youth at campus right now that are beginning projects that, in case they are to carry on with them, they help them well.
I think we are not wasted, because the youth have a very important role to play as far as the economy, the social and the cultural, the political role of this country is concerned.
It is wasted just because of what is happening around. You find that most youths today are not doing anything that is really productive. They are making their lives just a wastage. All they do is to participate in less productive activities such as betting, drug abuse, and maybe thefty.
Not all of them. Not all of them do that.
You find that most of the parents are not endeavoring taking their children to school. Like, it's no longer something that is really big to them. So they put less of their concern there.
Even if we start a match, even if we do something, there is nothing which is going to change. For example, when you see somebody of, say, 78 years teaching, now imagine somebody of 28, when he or she will get the job also to be what? As a teacher.
I'm not inspired. The way politicians behave, they are not giving a good picture to the young generation.
Those were your comments, and I'd like to remind you before we go for a short break that the Coca-Cola Rated Next Sing It Season 2 is back and is coming to your town. So you need to get ready. If you believe that you're Uganda's next music sensation, all you have to do is go to your local Coke distributor, get a form, and you will prepare for the audition. This weekend we were in Barara, next week we'll be in Masaka, and very soon we will be in Kampala. So get ready for the audition, and hopefully you will walk home with the 50 million and the recording contract. But Hashtag will take a very short break, and when we return, it is Virtual Threads where we'll get into that conversation about the 30 under 30 of Uganda.